Well, thanks everyone for joining us this morning. We're going to be talking about how we can leverage ArcGIS Online with FME. And certainly ArcGIS Online is a very significant technology coming from our friends at Esri. For several years now it's been available, and people have been doing different things with FME and ArcGIS Online. And today we're going to dig into what kind of things can be done and what kind of things will be able to be done in the future. So I think you're in for a treat today. So my name is Dale Lutz. I'm one of the co-founders of Safe Software, and I'm joined by...
I'm Laura Kirstens, a product support specialist here at Safe.
And we are celebrating the fact that we're going to be talking about snowplows a little bit later on, so I guess Stephanie put a toque on me and an interesting pair of earmuffs on you, because we're joined also by Eric. Eric, are you there still? I think Eric is doing...
Our tornado sirens are going off, so
okay.
I'm here. So...
All right, so stay safe there, Eric.
Yep.
He's going to join us in a few minutes and talk about a very impressive project that he's put together that involves just about every format that FME can handle. That's a bit of an exaggeration, but not too much, involving snowplows. So we'll catch back to Eric in a few minutes. We also have Mark and Iris standing by. I don't know if their mics are turned on, but at the end they'll be joining us. And they're ready to answer all your questions. So please, as we're going along, don't hesitate to ask questions and keep them good and busy. So just a couple words. We're Safe Software. We've been around for 20 years, and we're in the business of moving data. Our goal is to create harmony between data and applications. And so today we're seeing how people are using our stuff to move data from a bunch of interesting starting points painlessly, I would argue, into ArcGIS Online for the purpose of doing other interesting things and producing real results for people. And so that's very exciting. To do that, we have three products really. One is on the desktop, the authoring tool, which you can see in the background, lets you create data flows. You don't have to write code, you write data flows graphically. Then you can automate that with FME Server. Laura, you're going to actually fire up FME Server today, aren't you?
Yes, I am, yeah.
And we're going to automate like crazy. We're going to just pound it. We're going to pound ArcGIS and FME Server. And lastly, we do have FME Cloud, and actually we have a success story already involving that we're going to touch base on, which is really just FME Server managed inside of the cloud, so you don't have to own the hardware. You can pay by the hour. So we're going to go out to our first poll, and I think I can figure out how to launch that. Are you using FME or ArcGIS Online? Here we go. There it is. And so we thought we'd want to get to know you a little bit more to understand where you're coming from. This is a single choice thing, so you can't vote more than once. You've got to pick your choice. It's interesting to watch these come in because I wouldn't have predicted the leader here. We know many of our customers have ArcGIS Online accounts because Esri customers, I think all ArcGIS customers have an ArcGIS Online account. So we know that about half of the FME audience is ArcGIS Online. Our ArcGIS customers, and so that would be where they're from. Well, we got a very good turnout of the polls this morning, so let's close this and let's look at those results. So people that have or that use FME but they don't use ArcGIS Online, that's 30% of you. People that use ArcGIS Online but not FME, wow, a whopping 20%. Well, thanks so much for tuning in. Hopefully you'll see some things today that'll help you get even more out of your ArcGIS Online experience by opening it up to different sets of or kinds of workflows. People that are using FME and ArcGIS Online, but not together, a whopping 40%. That's the one that surprises me. And it shows just how many people are out there using ArcGIS Online. Actually, we did ask many of you to tell us what you're hoping to get out of today's webinar on the signups, and that did give me a clue that many of you were using both of them. And now there's 2%, a measly 2%, that are actually doing stuff with the products together today. So that's the audience we're targeting that want to beef up that number. And then 11% of you don't use either, and so thanks so much for tuning in to that. Hopefully you'll learn some new things that you can apply in any case. So thank you so much for that, and we'll return back to the slides. So for those of you that don't know FME, we aren't going to give much of an intro. We're going to dive right in and assume that you know what's going on. There's a couple of things in the follow-up email. You'll be invited to these. Tomorrow morning, actually, our friend Craig and Mark will be doing a little bit of an intro video, and you can also look at some recorded things as well by going to those places. But first, some amazing stories. And Laura, you're too young to know what this is the logo from, aren't you?
Yeah, I think so.
I wonder who out there, does anybody know the logo, where this logo comes from? I'll watch for that, but anyway, I'll get back to that later. I was a big fan of this TV show during my university days, and my favorite episode was Hell to Pay. So that's one to talk about. But so anyway, these amazing stories are a little less dramatic, and Steven Spielberg didn't produce them, but I just will touch on a couple, and then we'll hand it off to Eric. So first off is the FME Cloud for Airports, which was our FME Cloud contest winner. Randy Murphy of Grafton Technologies was the one who presented that to us. And effectively, I'll just summarize that this is the whole story here. So what they're doing, in this case, is using FME Server sitting in the cloud. That's why they got the FME Cloud contest win. If they weren't using FME Cloud, it would be bad, like they shouldn't have won. But yes, it's central to the whole thing. And they got airport users out here, and they have ArcGIS Online with ArcGIS Server as well. So they got both things actually. And they're using our stuff, FME, to bring all the kinds of data in to feature services in ArcGIS Online, laying that on top of maps of the airport, and then having FME Cloud being basically a clip, zip, and ship, or the ability to output 3D products like 3D KMLs for a certain area to show when trees are growing into the aircraft approach vectors. So that the basically airport user can pan and zoom around using ArcGIS Online when they get somewhere and say, okay, tell me what this 3D situation is here, and they hit a button and now they get 3D outputs. So it's a case of using FME technology as kind of an add-on after downstream from ArcGIS Online. And so that was an interesting case study as well. And Randy's going to be presenting that at our FME User Conference soon. Our second story is our friend Scott Grace out from BNSF Railway. And this was actually part of his submission to become an FME certified professional. So thanks, Scott, for submitting. And he now is the proud recipient of FME certified professional, I'm not sure, license? What does he get?
It's a certification. Yeah,
Certificate, all the rights and privileges granted there too.
Yeah.
So anyway, one of his many stories was how he used FME in combination with ArcGIS Online to keep a live map of where the trains are. As much as I can tell, they're trains. They seem to be on tracks and they move in a fairly predictable way. So it must be trains, unlike our buses. Our buses later on are a little bit less predictable, and we'll get to that. But he wanted to do it in a live refresh, and this data was coming from all kinds of other places. And so what he did was he uses FME to create KML. And then he uses a KML layer in a web map with ArcGIS Online and has it refresh in a regular way. And so the input data, in his case, again, a bit of a more traditional FME story where he's bringing CSV point data coming from somewhere into KML, as well as shapefiles into KML. And he right now it's set up that a user manually drags and drops or adds these files in, and it fires off an FME process that does this. But as Scott was telling me, the new capabilities in FME Server to take action when a file arrives in a directory would be where he would take this next. So when a file just shows up in a directory, bang, the map would be updated. And Laura, you work on FME Server, don't you?
Yes, that's right.
So do you believe it could be done?
Definitely, yeah.
Yes, yeah. So that would be a great next thing for him to do. So in his case, and that's what you'll notice with some of these folks that have been using FME with ArcGIS Online in FME 2013, which is what Scott was doing. He ends up using an HTTP uploader kind of thing to basically update things inside of ArcGIS Online using the GeoRest Services API through HTTP callers. And so that's what he was doing there. So initially he uploads the file. Here, this is how he uploads the KML, and then he does a second test to see was that file already there, and if it was there, then he has to go and whack it and cause it to be updated. So there's a little different workflow for the first time versus subsequent times. And this one workspace tries to upload it. If it bounces off, says, hey, it was already there, then it says, okay, good, I'll then update it. So it's a little different set of calls. So that was the trick for him. And so now watch this closely. in the area where the red square is. Are you paying attention, Laura?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Watch. Did something? Oh, there it moved. So that's the kind of thing that goes on. And this proves to me that Chicago is a real big center for trains. Just like there was some kind of a board game that I play with train tracks, and if you can get to Chicago, generally you'll win. And that must be close to real life. So anyway, that's what Scott's doing, and he sets this refresh. You can set the refresh interval as low as every what?
Oh, I had it at 0.1. So
Of a minute. So that's 6 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a pretty refreshing situation. Yes. So for our next stories, gehen wir nach Deutschland. We're going to go to Germany, and Mark Doring has sent us a couple of things that they've done. And they're, again, using REST technologies, calling them with FME and gluing things together, both in and out of FME, to do things within their framework that they call map.apps. So in this particular example, you can add data into an ArcGIS Online map. So you got an ArcGIS Online map sitting there, you add data in, and then you can see the results of some operations on that. So this is where they just drag or tell FME, here's a file to upload onto this map, and then the results come popping back after some processing is done. So the workspace is relatively simple. That's one thing we notice about these ArcGIS Online scenarios, is that they tend not to be super complex. Whereas if we're here to talking about how to do 3D building information model extraction, it's a little more complex sometimes. We're trying to hide that for folks, but it can be. But these ones are pretty simple. And really, in this example here, not only is it being run within the ArcGIS Online environment, but in the middle they're using one of our custom transformers to make it easy to call the service area calculator. I call them drive time polygons. Do you have a demo with this later?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so they're using that within the whole framework. So drag DXF file on, hit a button, and bang, up comes the drive times to get to the fire hydrants or whatever it was that were in the DXF. So this is the whole architecture. So data gets uploaded, FME Server does its thing, it pokes the map, and then off it happens. And here you can see that the geoprocessing part of ArcGIS Online involved. And again, no coding to do this, very easy to do. Their second story was an open data bridge, and open data is big these days. People are talking about it. In this case, they were harvesting some open data sitting on a CCAN site, and I know Iris, who's dialed in, knows all about that. I know Mark Loudon from the city of Surrey, you're a big CCAN guy, so this is a similar thing as the city of Surrey could end up doing someday as well. So the workflow here is, again, starting with ArcMap to define the map, and FME to define the workflows, and then ultimately deploying it onto FME Server and ArcGIS Online through the map.apps framework. So again, as you move your way up this chart, you get to the endpoint, which provides users a very painless and pleasing way to deal with data, and very little work really being needed. So here's the Open Data Portal in CCAN. It has a link to, for example, a zip file with shape in it, and FME can read zip files and automatically just take them apart. So you don't even actually have to download this data. It'll go straight into FME and be able to be read. So they go into ArcMap, define the service, then they create a REST service for ArcGIS Online, and now they have the process in FME that goes from shape to JSON. And that's really the interesting thing that our friends at Conterra figured out, was that they could use FME's ability to format feature data into JSON that ArcGIS Online wants to consume. And then they use HTTP transformers to do that. And actually, I'm going to be so bold as to bring up FME. Here's FME running on a Mac, but it doesn't matter. It can run anywhere. And so this is that. This is the workspace that does this. Reads the shape file from a zip file. And see if he's got the URL there. Yes. See, the zip file is being pulled right from here automatically, and then a little bit of pre-processing work being done. But the interesting work happens in here. Here's where we make the JSON. So that's a little bit small for the folks at home to see, but we're basically formatting some JSON that they've done. And then they're going to nun verstehen wir was Lehren der FC machen. That's a really bad bit of German that asks, what the heck does this do? And we look in here, and this is the key interesting trick. They're using an HTTP caller to delete all the features that were in the feature service by telling it to delete everything where 1 equals 1. And even in German or English, 1 equals 1 means everything. And so that wipes it out, truncates it, and then the JSON that they assembled with all the data, they put through this HTTP uploader that says, hey, add features, and the value is all those features in JSON. Now, you wouldn't want to do this for hundreds of thousands of features at a time, but for modest amounts, whoop, up it goes, and in it goes. So that's a way of interacting with ArcGIS Online with old FME technology, even without the stuff that Laura just discovered yesterday. So thank you very much, Conterra, for sharing that. Lastly, they schedule this to go every night or something like that. I know Iris has been working with open data, refreshing in that kind of way, and here they're doing it in FME Server. FME Cloud would be a great place to do this as well, because all this data is starting in the cloud and ending in the cloud, so you might as well not bring it down to your premise and send it up. So that's that one, and the end result is here you see the data on the map, and there it is inside of ArcGIS Online, and finally we see the result, and here it is, the construction sites in Münster, a wonderful town. Have you ever been there, Laura?
No, I haven't.
It's a great place. You should go there sometime. It's the home of Conterra. So if you want to know more about how that works, the Conterra folks are going to be presenting this in more detail at our FME User Conference, as will Randy, who was the first one, and Scott, who was the middle one, got a little bit of a scared tone to his voice when I made the mistake of thinking he was also presenting that. He is not presenting it, but you can come talk to Scott. He is coming to the user conference. And Scott, we'd love to have you present, but maybe next time. So now I'm going to hand it off, and I'll ask Stephanie if you can go ahead and make Eric the presenter. We're going to hand off to Eric, and Eric, take it away and tell us how you've been using FME and FME technology together with ArcGIS Online.
Yeah, I sure will. Thanks a lot. That stuff was pretty impressive. So we'll see how this works. So I take it everyone can see my screen.
Yes, it's looking great. It looks
Perfect.
like it's
Okay.
a snowy day.
So
Is it a snowy day?
Yeah, that's snowy up in northern Iowa. So this is kind of the curtain to kind of, so this picture came in here, it looks like about 16, 17 minutes ago. And so I'm going to kind of walk through the entire process, what we go through. So last fall, we had an initiative to make our plow locations available to the public, so the public can get an understanding of how the Iowa Department of Transportation does snow removal and winter operations. And with that, we also had a mission to try to get images from the driver itself. So what the driver sees out there, get those to the public so the public can make better driving decisions in the winter. So we may report a road condition as partially covered. Well, the public can now see what's going on. So let me go ahead and close this off. And here's what our site looks like. And again, I'm going to run through how this works. So basically, the orange dots are plows that are active right now, running around the state. So you can click on a plow, and it'll give you some basic information, basically a timestamp, the direction of travel, the solid material rate, the liquid material rate it's putting down, the type of pre-wet weight rate, and also the number of active plows. So one of the things we were getting was the media was always asking, how many plows do we have deployed during a winter event? And they can just come now here and look at that and say 206, that goes in their news reports, and they can go on with that. And then the blue circles are pictures that come in. So these are from either supervisor vehicles or they're from the snow plows itself. So, all right, so let me kind of walk through how all this works here. All right, so how this works, we'll look at the upper left-hand corner here. The snow plows have a GPS device in there, which has multiple sensor ports on that. And so the truck gives our air temperature, road temperature, different plow states, different materials coming out the back. And that stuff, we have a vendor called LTI to Kansas City, and so we feed that data from the truck to them, and they store that in a MySQL and an Amazon Web Service. And then what we do then is we basically run what I like to call a database-centric, software-neutral approach to data here at the DOT. What that means is we try to standardize on database technologies and feed our stuff into that, and then we use tools that can leverage those environments. In this case, FME, you know, the Esri products, the Intergraph products, that type of thing can all leverage like an Oracle spatial database or a SQL spatial database. So what happens is every minute we go make a service call, we dump that all the active clouds out there over to Oracle Spatial, and that makes it so that table that we put in Oracle Spatial then gets used in the FME process. Then every 30 minutes, we go back to the web service, use an FME process to grab all the pings that happened in the last 30 minutes and dump that to Oracle Spatial. And then we use that for an aggregation process. So as the storm's moving across the state, we bring that data into Oracle. We use like PL SQL to then aggregate that to our sections. And so we can see over a period of half-hour chunks how much material is going down across the state, so we can be better informed about how the winter storm is approaching. So on the FME side, so basically what happens to get to our map on ArcGIS Online is we developed, well, from the plow, we have a table that's in Oracle Spatial, and then every minute we have an FME job that basically reads the active plow table inside of our database. It produces a KML and dumps it off to an Azure, Windows Azure cloud server. And then we build an ArcGIS Online map that just references that KML. And then we tell ArcGIS Online to refresh that KML every couple minutes. One of the reasons we went this way was that KML then is out there on the Azure server, and other people can leverage that at that location. What we want to get to is use FME to actually produce, insert into a feature service into ArcGIS Online. That was really interesting. A few of the samples you showed ahead of time that's exactly what we want to do. And so we're kind of waiting to see what 2014 is going to give us for FME, and we're using 13 now. So that's basically how all this goes. So Oracle Spatial and out to our different things. So let me go ahead and move over to what one of these looks like. It actually is pretty simple. Walk through here, we read our AVL database, read our table, we pull out some attributes, we format our date from Oracle, we use the KML property setter, so basically come in here and we'll set the content of the balloon and style the KML. This is where we get our icons that go on there. This is the picture one. So there's our picture icon. The truck one that we have has directional icons. So we have a tester in there that will test the bearing of the truck and then give it the right icon. And then basically what we do is we write the KML out to a directory on our FME server. And then we have another job here that is a system caller that uses AZ copy, and it basically grabs that FME file or the KML file and pushes it up through the Azure cloud, and does that, like I said, every few minutes. So let's go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Very impressive, Eric, and it's your architecture diagram is so fascinating to me because it shows just about every cloud service I can think of all working in unison together.
Oh, this one right here, yeah, yep. So, yeah, basically we use Oracle Spatial behind the scenes to create our winter segments, and we have our linear referencing system that uses Bentley's LDMX. Intergraph stuff rides on top of that. And the nice thing is, like on the ESRI side, we use query layers.
Yes.
So what we do is we use query layers to read that, make our map document, and then we can push those out to different things. So.
Yeah, very, very clever combination. And you mentioned also the custom app on the iPhone that takes a picture. And what was that? Whenever the vehicle is moving or standing still, I can never remember.
Oh, that's right. Yep, the custom app here. So how we get our pictures is we couldn't find an off-the-shelf solution, so we had our one of our IT teams build a custom app. So basically, what the phone does, they mount it on a. The phones come free because with a data plan, we get the free iPhone 4Ss. So they snap it in on the truck. The app will take a picture if the truck's moving more than, I believe it's either 5 or 8 miles an hour. So what we don't want to do is have the truck taking pictures if they're stopping in to get fuel, pulling in the garage, stopping on a break and things like that. So if it's moving 8 miles an hour, it sends a picture, and we have a process that runs internally here at the phone sends the picture to a server we have, and then we have a custom application. I was originally using FME, but our support team built a custom application with some extra tweaks in it that reads that picture, pulls out the data, writes that picture information to Oracle Spatial,
Yeah.
and then pushes that picture up to the Azure cloud. So when the picture process goes for FME, it just reads that Oracle table that has all the information from that picture in it. And of course, there's also the thumbnail URL stored with that, and the full-size picture URL. And the picture then, FME process makes a KML that has the locations of the pictures in it.
Yes. And you said that the iPhone is basically like built into the truck now. It's wired right in. It's not like a loose thing.
Right. It's wired in. So basically, they've taken a charger cable, and then they've just connected it to one of the power ports, not like the power adapter port, but they've hardwired it into the system, so the phone's basically on all the time, even when the truck is off, because it draws such a small amount of power.
Fascinating use of a phone as just a sensor, basically a connected sensor.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and the result, it's running live right there. This is where stuff's happening today.
Yep, this is live right here, so I can click on this truck over here, and as you see, we get 10:23 Central Time. I can click on a picture over here on one of our interstate systems, and you see things are pretty cleared off. So, traffic's moving pretty good. Now, I do have some samples from this morning, if we want to kind of take a quick peek at that. I have a few minutes left here, right?
Yeah, let's take a peek.
Okay, so, all right, so let me run through some pictures from this morning. So, here again is a picture of me clicking on a blue dot. As you see here, the sun's coming up, and we're looking out there. That's what the driver's seeing. There's another example here. As you zoom in on ArcGIS Online Map, we also have a feature service that shows us our stationary cameras out there.
Okay.
Again, here's another one that shows us truck putting down material. Then we'll get some good ones here. This is where we want to get to. So this is using a different process. We actually want to give the users real icons what the truck's doing. So in this situation right here, we have a truck here that has a wing blade down, a front blade down, and there's fire coming out the back, which means that the truck's not on fire. So what that means is the truck is actually spreading a lot of material on the road right there because it's really icy and so on. And the bars off the back give heads-up display on the rate of material coming out the back. So this is our ultimate goal for next winter, get rid of the orange circles and give something like this to the public. So, and this is what our supervisors see on their mobile devices that they use the GeoCortex Essentials for.
Okay.
Here's another picture from this morning. This is on one of our interstates in northern Iowa. This is what it looks like. So as a traveler, you can see what's going on. Here's kind of the same area a few hours later. As you see, things are starting to get cleared off. You can see all those wind turbines in the background. So, and there's that picture. I zoomed into that truck that was on fire there. So he's at an intersection. He's dropping a lot of material to make sure that people that are coming through there don't slide.
And that picture was taken in happier days, I guess.
Yes, yeah, that one was, yeah. And here's how some of our customers are using these real-time things that FME is helping us do. So here's a tweet from the middle of the night from our National Weather Service in Des Moines. So they're using the plow images to show the public what the conditions are really like out there. So again, 12:42 a.m., they showed one of our plows. They said, look, up in Mason City, which is near the Iowa-Minnesota border, that's what it looks like outside.
For a split second, I thought that the caption below it was related to the picture, Honolulu, second worst for traffic.
Oh, yeah. Apparently that's what INREX is telling us. So
yes.
But as you see how the news can use that. And here's another one. Here's a couple other ones here. Here's a TV station this morning showing what the conditions are like from one of our plow cams. So they're actually leveraging that information. And our own Iowa Department of Transportation will tweet out pictures from our plow cam. As you see there's that map in the background that FME is making those KMLs, and that one here is coming from our statewide 511 IA. So if you want examples of those pictures, you can go to that Twitter handle, take a look at some of the past feeds we have. So, all right. So
anyway, well, thank you so much, Eric. That is just fantastic. And folks, if you want to hang around and ask Eric some questions at the end, please do. And we'll have him here when we begin to wrap up at about 10:02. So with that, I think we're going to switch over to Laura. So Stephanie, are you able to do that? Laura's going to take the helm, and I think I'm going to launch a poll while that's going on, and ask people to tell us, now that you've seen some of these things that folks have been doing with FME even before FME 2014. What are some of the kinds of things you might want to do with FME and ArcGIS Online? We're going to end up demoing or walking down all these different things today here. So we'll let you all, you can choose many options here. If you'd like to do it all, you can click all of them. What do you like to do with this, Laura? Do you like all of these?
Pretty much, yeah. I think I have tried all of them now.
Yes. So we'll just let folks vote a little bit more. But actually, it looks like most everybody wants to do almost all of it.
Oh, that's good.
So let's just let a couple more votes come in, and then we'll look. This enriching of data is really quite interesting. That's about using the services of ArcGIS Online. The rest of these are about having data in ArcGIS Online. So I'm going to close the polls there, and we'll share the results. And updating feature services. Do you have an example of that, Laura?
Yes, we do.
Lucky.
Yeah.
How long has that been working?
Since about yesterday.
So it's a fresh thing, but we recognize that that's something that people really want to do. Reading data, that actually released in FME 2014. So if you have FME 2014 today, you can read data from feature services to do things with, like one of those examples, the FME Cloud example, actually, where they are taking data that's in feature services and combining it and extruding it and doing wacky things and producing interesting outputs in different formats. That could be done today. So anyway, there's the whole set. And so with that now, I think, Laura, we'll hand it over to you.
All right.
And we'll walk through just a few things. So I'm going to kind of ask you to show me some different stuff. But before we begin, Laura, can you show me an FME Data Inspector? What do I have to do if I want to use ArcGIS Online as my background map?
Okay, so that's just a setting that you can change inside the Data Inspector itself. So I have the Data Inspector open here, and that would be under Tools, inside FME Options here. There we go. We have the option for setting up a background map. So I've got mine set up right here to ArcGIS Online already.
What do you get to do? In the parameters, I guess you need to have an account, and or you can get a free trial.
Yes,
and then
so that option.
And then I guess you get to choose from a list of different maps.
Yeah, so you get a list of all the different base maps that are available from ArcGIS Online.
Which do you prefer?
I like the street map. It gives good context for the data, so I'll be using that one for the demos today.
Okay, so that's what folks, if you're using FME and you use the Data Inspector to take a peek at data, having a background map really helps put stuff in context. And it's hard to beat the ArcGIS Online background maps, really.
Yeah.
So so that's that one, which was the least desired of all the options. So we'll spend the least time on all that. So let's move next to, okay, I know in the pre-conference or the pre-webinar survey, we had lots of folks ask us, can they bring CAD data directly into ArcGIS? And so can they?
Yes, they can.
Okay. So I'm glad that's the answer. So what do you got for your CAD data to begin with?
So here I've just got some CAD data showing parcels, so land information with centroids containing attributes in there. I guess I can inspect this.
Yes.
Show off the Data Inspector with the background maps going too.
Because this data actually knew its coordinate system, so that's always helpful. Okay, whoa, that looks pretty CAD-like.
This is my data here, yeah.
The background map, if you're a CAD person, that background map is distracting. Are you able to turn that off?
Yeah.
Okay.
There we go.
Okay, woo, that looks more CAD-like. I'm kind of teasing there, but so what? If you click on some of this stuff, what do you got?
So I see here I've got the parcel boundaries here with no real information inside. So.
Right, and what about the centroids? If you click on them?
And if I select some of the centroids, they have attribute information for all the parcels inside.
Right, okay. So there's basically line segments and centroids with attributes, a typical CAD type of situation in Map 3D. Sometimes you have to go to a database to get the stuff that's on the centroids. FME can do that as well. Now, what do you do to put that together? Because I wouldn't want this in ArcGIS Online like that.
No.
That would be rather cumbersome, I'd say.
Yeah.
So what do you do?
So inside my workspace, I have a few transformers to build up the data and bring these attributes in. So for the parcel boundaries, got an area builder to create polygons from those lines.
Got it.
Just a geometry validator to make sure my polygons are correct and they're all complete.
Yeah.
Then I'm bringing in the centroids and using the point on area overlayer transformer to basically transfer the attributes from those centroids onto the polygons that I've built up.
Right. Okay, so actually if you click this little triangle on the area that comes out, then that shows, okay, now it knows a bunch of stuff about that area, including an overlaps count. Okay,
Just
what's
tells
that about?
me how many centroids were inside each of the polygons.
How many are you hoping for?
Hoping for one each.
Okay.
So in this tester, this is filtering out anything that had 0 or more than 1 match. So I only get to the ones where overlaps equal 1 inside here.
Right. So what we're doing in this workspace, and this is a typical FME situation, we do some things, and Laura is very confident about her data, or she doesn't care when things are bad. Because what you could do on this failed one, for example, we could attach, we could route those back to a CAD file and send it back to the technician to fix it. Similarly, if they gave us bad line work that made invalid polygons, we could throw those out, and all the incomplete lines, we could throw those back. So there's a number of spots in here where we might take the bad data and do something with it. But we're choosing today to just go with the good.
Yeah, I'm sure it's fine.
Yeah. And so now at the end of the line, what are you doing there?
So here I'm going to be writing out the features that I've built to ArcGIS Online. So I'm going to be sending these out to a layer up there in my own account.
So Laura, could you just show us, we'll walk through the flow of adding a writer. So what would you do?
So we go into writers, so I can add this in just like any other writer. So I search for ArcGIS Online feature service here.
Yeah.
So it's like my data set, so it's arcgis.com.
Yeah.
And then in parameters, I can enter in my username and password. And then I can decide which feature service I'd like to write out
Got
to.
it. Got it. All right, so that's what people would do, and then after that, it's just the same as writing to a database or even a file. It's the same.
Pretty much. So you just create
So
feature type, yeah.
Now, is this right now on your ArcGIS Online? Is it all empty and without any parcels, or what's our situation?
Yeah, I can show you here. So right now I just have some buses and road hazard layers.
Okay.
So nothing to do with parcels at the moment. So
are you going to be so bold as to try to create this now?
yeah, let's try this
Okay.
out. So I'll just run the workspace, and that'll create a layer called parcels inside my ArcGIS Online account. So it'll take a second to run. It's about 1,500 features. So
Okay, so now it's actually sending the data up there for the first time. So we did all the work of spinning those things. Oh, and at the end it gives me some numbers and tells me, well, actually I can see that we leaked some features here because what, 66? 66 failed because I can see 1570 minus 1504. They went out the failed, but the failed was ignored, so we won't worry about that for today's demo.
yeah.
The input data is a little bit
not
bad.
perfect, yeah.
Your data's not perfect. I know that for all the people out there watching, their data is perfect, so they wouldn't have that problem. So now what do we do?
So I can go back to my ArcGIS Online account. So I'm logged in here. Just refresh and see. And we should see, yeah, the parcels layer
that's
has
a
been
relief.
added.
Okay, and so now what do you do with that feature service?
So I can take a look at it. So I can open that up in a brand new map here. So this is my feature service right here. Add to new map. And we can take a look and see how it looks. Let's take a second to open up, and there it is.
In beautiful Austin, Texas. Thanks, Austin, Texas, for this data. This data is from about 15 years ago. So, but nonetheless. And if you click on stuff, can you see attributes?
Yeah, so I can select any of these polygons, and I can see all the attributes that I've added in from those centroids.
Okay, so that's just a simple example of taking data from really any of the FME formats, and there's like 300 of them, doing a little bit of transformation, adding it up in a feature service. Now you could schedule this to do, for example, as Scott was suggesting, if a new CAD file arrived in a directory, we could fire it up and off we go. And truncating the table to go first, or maybe doing updates. I know you're going to do all these things before we're all done our demos.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, well that's good. That's a simple softball feature service writing. What's your next set of workspaces?
Okay, so next we're going to look at working with some of the ArcGIS Online services. So I'll just close down this workspace right now. Where's my mouse? There we
Your
are.
mouse is gone.
Got too many monitors
Wandering.
going.
Okay.
So I'll just open this up. Second folder.
So we'll be sending people all these workspaces afterwards, although we will take our password out of them.
Yeah. Don't need everyone using the same R accounts.
Okay. Wow, you got a bunch of green things in there. What's going on with that?
Yeah, so I've got this workspace that combines a few of the different custom transformers that we have for interacting with the ArcGIS Online services. So the first one I've got here, the ArcGIS Online Geocoder. So I'm bringing in some GML data. It contains information about fire halls in the city of Vancouver. This data has no geometry associated with it right now, but I do have an address to tell me the location of these fire halls. So I'm going to do is use the ArcGIS Online Geocoder to use ArcGIS's geocoding service to take those addresses and build points from that information.
Ah, okay. Yeah, it does a fine job of that.
So I can go inside here and show you the parameters. Again, it's the ArcGIS Online account. and then I can tell it
Yep.
which attributes to use for the addresses.
Yep.
So then my geocoded data, I'm just going to turn this off for now. No, it's okay.
So now you're going to take and do service area. No, what's that one doing? Yes, that's what I call drive time polygons.
Mm-hmm.
And you're doing, where can I get in 5, 10, and 15 minutes? That's what that one's
Yeah,
about.
so I just want to see what areas in Vancouver are within those drive times of the fire halls. So
Okay.
in case of an emergency, you know
Yep.
how close you are.
And
And
then-
then, yeah.
You're doing some routing down below too.
Yeah, so I also am using the routing service from ArcGIS Online to get the fastest route from one point to, from one of the fire halls to another point that I've created in here. So say there's an emergency
Yep.
and they want to know exactly how to get
Yep.
to that location.
So that could come from a web service, that point, or
Yeah,
something.
so it could come from
Yeah.
anywhere, yeah.
Yeah. And then you're outputting this to 3 things at once, is that right?
Yeah, that's right. So this is all going out to ArcGIS Online again. So it's going out to a single
Yeah.
feature service, and I'm getting 3 different, I guess, layers inside that.
And we could go to multiple feature services as well. There's no, in FME you can have many, you could go whichever way you wanted.
Mhm.
But you've just done one feature service with 3 layers inside.
Yeah. So
All right.
I've got one layer for the drive time polygons down here, another one for the actual location of my fire halls, and then the last one, line to show the route from the fire hall to the location of interest.
So you're going to let her rip?
Yeah, so I'll try this one out too. So just let that run.
Okay, so we're reading, how many fire halls are there?
I think there's about
Oh, I see.
6, but I'm taking a sampler, so I'm only grabbing 1 for this
Okay,
demo.
so we'll just do one just to prove the point.
Yeah,
Okay.
the drive time polygons look kind of weird when there's more than one
Yes.
point involved. So that's done now. So if I go back, I think it's not quite finished yet.
No, it's
Oh,
still
yeah.
thinking.
Still uploading to ArcGIS here.
So hopefully the safe staffers aren't watching news coverage of the Ukraine or something. I know if we were doing this a week or 2 ago when the Olympic hockey was on, it was kind of a problem. Okay, we're done now.
Yeah, we're done. Okay.
Okay.
So I'll go back to my account here.
So we're hoping for
So we're hoping to see a layer called fire halls now. So we've got this features here,
the feature service,
feature
yeah.
service, yeah. And I'll just add this to a new map and take a look.
So it should have 3 things in there.
Yeah, so we should see, yeah, there's the drive time polygons.
Yeah.
And we've got our line here
Oh.
showing our,
That's the shortest path from
Shortest
whatever
path.
the hospital or whatever you had there.
yeah, to this emergency location.
Yeah.
So I've got some information there, some attributes on there. And then the point here, which is my fire
That
hall.
was what was geocoded.
Yeah.
Thanks, Bruce Harrell, for the fine geocoding work. And now, if you choose these polygons, are they overlapping each other? Yeah. Okay. That's how it works.
Yeah.
So yeah. Okay. That's great. So that's it for this one. So that's ArcGIS Online services being used very much like the Conterra example, where they were doing this type of thing as well, and only we're outputting the results to a feature service directly.
Yeah, so without
Okay.
the need for the HTML.
So now the next thing we've got is geoenrichment.
There it is.
I call it geoenrichment. I think it's got another name in
Yeah,
ArcGIS
I think
world.
it was referred to as the context service.
Yes.
In the help I was reading there.
Yes. So we're reading what, some demographic?
Uh,
Oh,
Yeah, so I just have some data about election results for some areas in Vancouver. And just seeing, how many people voted, what the stats were for that.
yeah. So the data comes from GML again, so it could
Yeah.
come from anything, we don't care.
So I've got GML and an Excel spreadsheet with
Oh,
the
okay.
results themselves.
Yes.
So I'm bringing that in, doing some overlay between the two. And I'm using the ArcGIS Online geoenricher to get some additional information to include with my data.
So yeah, what kind of stuff can we get? Wow, okay.
So it's just all kinds of demographic information. So I'm adding in age, demographic facts, and income.
Yeah,
But there's a whole list to choose from for various different
countries and
so
wealth and
lots of
stuff.
options
Okay,
in
yeah,
there.
yeah. Okay, so you're just picking up some new attributes.
Yeah.
And then today we're just going to take a peek at that in the data inspector to
Yeah.
take a look. Okay.
Just send that straight up there.
So we'll burn through some more ArcGIS Online credits while
Yep.
we do this, and we're going to pull it down.
And there we go. So again, I just had a sampler in there, so I only did one this time. But there's the point showing the area.
Yes.
And these are the attributes that I've added in now. So I've got information about average income.
Right. All this sort of stuff coming from ArcGIS Online.
Yeah.
So that means if you're an organization that cares about these things, you don't have to be maintaining or buying those data sets. Just dial up ArcGIS Online, no coding needed,
Mhm.
run data through FME. You can go Excel to Excel
Yep.
and
That's
do
right.
this. A
Create
little bit of
spreadsheet,
geocoding in
yeah.
the middle, and off you go.
Mhm.
Okay, so that's our enrichment. Now, feature service reading, I think you promised me.
Yeah, that's right. So just head over there now. Here we go. So for this, I'm just reading straight from a feature service that I have in ArcGIS Online. What I've got set up, so I'm just going back to ArcGIS here. So I've created basically a road hazard reporting system of sorts. So I've created a map, and from that I've created a custom web application that'll let users actually draw directly on my map. So I'll just
So did you take weeks to do this, or was this pretty quick?
This was probably a couple minutes just to get this figured out.
So it's not like when I was young, okay.
Pretty straightforward, which is nice. So basically in here I've got a map that lets people draw in polygons to show an area. Say maybe there's some kind of hazard on the road and you want to report some
so there might
problem.
be some, if we go over here to Commercial Drive, there might be some yuppies loose right over here.
Commercial, yeah, so I can put this here.
There's a yuppie alert over there. They're all going to fancy restaurants. Okay.
So I can add in attributes if I didn't double click too fast.
Okay, there you go.
There we go.
So then the hazard would be loose yuppies or whatever we wanted to do. I see, okay. So
try again there.
okay.
Got a little. Okay. That was working yesterday. So ideally, you'd be able to put in some attributes and add some information about what was going on in there.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, not working at the moment.
I know that there was a new ArcGIS Online update last night, just what we needed.
Yeah.
So Eric was telling us that. So, but on these ones, were there some attributes on those?
Yeah, so there's some information in here that I put in yesterday. Yeah. So.
Ice on the road. Well, that in Vancouver, that's really bad.
Yeah. So yeah, doesn't happen.
We don't have plows like Eric to help us. Okay. So then, what do you do now?
So I've got this workspace here that reads the information from this layer, this road hazards layer that people can add to. It takes those polygons, and I'm using a feature reader here to overlay those polygons with a road set of lines showing the road network in Vancouver, so I can see which road segments have problems.
Yes.
And then I'm just going to write that out to a KML for people to be able to see easily.
This feature reader, where is it pulling its data from?
So this is pulling in from
a map info file. Okay, so we're picking up a map info file, spatially connecting or relating those things, and then you're going to output it to KML.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this could be anything really.
Yep.
For the input.
Spatial database or whatever. Okay, here we go.
So I can run this, and that actually grabs all the live updates from that layer and pushes them out to my KML file.
Right. Which, if you were Eric, you could go put that on Windows Azure, and then people could use that in different workflows as well.
Yeah, that's
so true. Now what's going to happen? Okay.
So there's the KML that was just created.
Okay. Yep, today date 47. That's good.
Okay. And here's my road hazard report. You can see all the hazards that are in here. So you can even see the two that I just added in here.
Oh, and I see it. It basically projected them onto the line network.
Yeah.
So we don't see the polygons you drew. You actually see where the lines are of the thing. Oh, there's a fallen tree. So I can see the actual
road segment, and I can know what the block was, for example. Yeah.
Right. Well, because the block got picked up from the map info file.
Yeah.
I see. And these ones will be the unnamed ones.
Yeah.
The hazards whose name we shall not say.
Yeah.
Okay.
Report. Yeah.
Yes. Wow, that's pretty cool. So that's, again, reading. So basically creating a system where people use the interactivity and the ease of creating an application with ArcGIS Online, and then using FME downstream to create derived products from that.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So one thing I could do with this is put it into a KML network link.
Yes.
And then get live updates whenever somebody reports a hazard in here.
With FME Server. So FME Server would be hitting ArcGIS Online every time somebody moved around in Google Earth.
Yeah.
Or it became stale because you can have a timeout as well.
I think this can refresh every couple of minutes or seconds, whatever you want to do.
So I think we're ready for our last demo.
All right.
And look at that, we're right on time. So the last one is updating ArcGIS Online. So what do you got for us there?
So I'm looking at some live bus data from the city of San Francisco. So that's coming in from a public XML feed here. So I've got an XML reader.
That's going for like HTTP, whatever, right? Like that's where it's pulling from. Okay. So, and Don will be happy because we're mixing in some XML.
Yep.
All right. And so then what do? You read the buses. Oh, and then you read the data that was in ArcGIS Online. So you're reading from ArcGIS Online, and then you're merging that in that feature merger.
Yeah, that's right. So I already have some bus data up there, and I want to grab the latest updates and move the buses around and get the latest information from
And that's
that.
because we need the FID inside of ArcGIS Online as the key. And so how you join the FID is in ArcGIS Online, but what is the key of the buses?
So I have a bus ID. So the ID here.
That's a San Francisco ID.
I'm matching on here, yeah.
Right. So basically, this where Laura's mouse is getting us the FID from the ID of the bus.
Yeah.
And then once you've merged it, now you can go and do an update on the far side. Now, what is that bus's? How do you set the update mode on that thing?
So it's pretty straightforward. So you just go into the feature type, under format parameters, you set it to update.
And right now, update means we're doing it by FID.
Yeah, so that's the only option.
You got to know that.
Yeah.
All right, so that's good. Now, what's with that offsetter?
Okay, so what we've got here, the buses weren't moving fast enough to make for a very interesting demo for now. So we've added in an offsetter here to basically offset these bus locations by some random number every time we run an update.
Yes.
So,
so they'll slowly move the right way, but we'll have them jump around a bit more.
Yeah, so we had a few jumping into the bay, I think, yesterday.
Yeah, well, we'll see what's going to happen here.
Yeah.
So now, how do you want to show this, Laura? Are we going to look at it in ArcGIS Online and then run things, or what do you want to do?
So yeah, I'll open it up in ArcGIS Online now. Let's find my web browser here. So I have a map that's already prepared that uses the buses feature or this feature service that I'm updating.
Okay.
So just open up the map so we can see them displayed.
Do we need to check is the refresh interval on for this thing?
Yeah, I'll just check that right now. So I have.
This is where the magic. There we go. That's as low as we can go, and that's every 6 seconds.
Yeah.
So these buses right now are just sitting there flashing because they're not changing.
Yeah, so they're refreshing with no new information.
So
what I'm going to do, instead of running this a whole bunch of times to see changes,
yeah, that would be distracting.
I've got this published in FME Server already.
Okay.
And I've already created a schedule in here that's going to run every couple of seconds, so every 7 seconds.
Okay.
And this is going to update the bus data.
All right.
And push it straight up.
So that's that workspace.
Online.
You push that up to FME Server.
Yeah.
It's sitting there ready to go. And what are you going to do to enable it?
So I'll just enable the schedule. So this will start this running every 7 seconds. And if I go back to my map here, we should start seeing some movement in these buses.
So we're looking for. Oh, did you notice anybody moving?
Missed it that time.
So let's pick a spot. Who's moving?
You can take a look at those two there.
Well, I think they moved.
Yeah. So even then, this is a little hard to see.
Yes,
yeah, there we go.
That guy moved. Okay, so that proves it does. We probably should shut off that thing because we're burning our credits unnecessarily. So let's go shut off that schedule. And there we go. That proves we're doing updates.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, Laura, with that, we're ready to wrap her up here. Do you want to go back to the PowerPoint?
All right, you get that going.
So we need we should show this page here.
Right here? Okay. I'll just swap those around.
There we go. So the exciting buses moving around in San Francisco. Nothing can be more exciting than that. Hey, and there's Sandra Bullock, who was in she was in a little different situation in Gravity, but nonetheless kind of vehicles that are out of control, so a little bit of a theme for her. All right, so that ends our demos, and let's take a look what we have for wrap-ups here. So a few things coming up. If you are interested in other FME things, we've got a couple of webinars. The big data one, Don's going to be doing that on location from Fort St. John.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so he's going to the end of the earth to do big data testing. Should be very interesting. Again, a lot of web things going on there that he's been doing. A spatial index using DynamoDB that can index everything, he claims. So we'll see in web services. FME World Tour, we're coming to a bunch of cities. 15 or 17 across North. Hey, you're coming on the road with me.
I am, yeah.
So you and I will be in places like Denver and Sacramento and San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
We can see if we can find the scene where those buses were jumping.
Oh, yeah.
Hopefully that will be us. And Calgary and Edmonton, but there's others going other places. And of course, our big once every 5 years, looks like we do it. Anyway, it's been 5 years since the last one, our International User Conference, where you can come and hear more about a couple of those success stories that we did. And if you liked what you saw today, if you're one of the 30% or so that didn't really use FME, we've got a live training that's free. you can just visit our website, or it'll be in the follow-up email, and sign up for that. It's a couple of hours. Hey, that's you, Laura.
Yeah, it is.
So
me.
are you teaching that one in March?
No, I'm not going to be doing that one.
It'll probably be Ryan, I guess,
Yeah.
the other guy there.
Yeah.
But last year we taught more than 2,000 people that way. So you're welcome to join us. But if you can't wait till March 18th, we also have recorded things online. Again, safe.com/training gets you to all that. And of course, we have our various communities and so on that you can take part in as well. So let's open it up. Eric, are you still with us?
I'm here.
Okay. So if people want to raise their hand, so I got to figure out how I do this. We can do some live questions. I also, Iris and Mark, do you want to chime in if there's any questions? We got about 5 minutes here. We did finish on time, which is very impressive.
Awesome.
If anybody wants to raise their hand to ask a question, we can take those. Okay, and Stephanie, our producer, let's see if it's going to work. Should we try if Richard can speak? Stephanie, see if you can open the line to Richard. Okay, go ahead, Richard. You're on the air. Richard. Yes. That's our first time trying this. So if Richard, do you have a question for us you'd like to say?
Yeah.
Yes, go ahead. No, you can go ahead and just tell it to us. You don't need to type it because you're on the air live.
Okay. The application for the snowplows that they're showing with the real-time locations of the vehicles.
Yes.
That was a real-time weather radar showing the systems underneath there?
Yeah, this is Eric from Iowa DOT. Yeah, that was a real-time weather radar that comes from our very own Iowa State University's Mesonet area. So if you're interested in using that radar, they have a cache tile service you can use, and that's what this is. And it refreshes every 5 minutes on ArcGIS Online.
Oh, okay.
So Iowa State University Mesonet, MESONET, I believe.
Okay.
Excellent. Thanks very much, Richard. We'll go now. It looks like Derek. So Stephanie, are you able to see if Derek can ask his question? Oh.
I think so.
Hey, Derek, you're on the air.
Great, thank you. So you've been working with ArcGIS Online and ArcMap features, I believe. My question was just, Esri has other software out there. I'm wondering, has anyone been trying usage of FME to apply to City Engine production?
Yes, okay, so City Engine, I can talk to that. That's one area where we, within the bounds of SAFE, are a little behind our customers again. I can say that the University of Massachusetts, a guy named Alexander Stepanov, has given a couple talks showing how he takes building models, grinds them with FME, and produces a very small file size set of parameters, and then he uses City Engine to render them. And I actually think this is a really interesting direction because it takes the data volume and the geometry complexity out of building model translation and just boils it down to some parameters, and then City Engine can do its fancy rendering. So we are looking at that. If you're interested, I can connect you afterwards with Alexander. If anybody else is, write in the questions. We'll connect you with Alexander. But yes, City Engine, definitely something that I see on our horizon at SAFE to support more fully. We're also looking at integrating the City Engine SDK because there is one now that has a lot of really good 3D operations on it available. And I think in FME workflows, it could be very interesting as well. So great question, Derek.
Wonderful, thank you.
All right, we'll go out to Richard.
Hi.
Yes.
Hi. Yeah, watching the webinar from my car, so I hope this works. I had a question.
I don't know. I don't know if we should condone that, but go ahead.
I'm driving safe. I'm trying for a while to connect ArcGIS Online to FME. I've managed to connect features, but I wondered if also the attachments from the features could be read to FME, because if I'm reading
Yes.
a GDB file, the
Yep.
attachments come over in the right way.
Yes.
But if I'm reading the feature service from ArcGIS Online, I'm not getting the attachments.
Yes. So thank you very much for raising that. That is a shortcoming right now, and we will work to address that. I know Bruce Harold from Esri has been talking to us also about being able to write attachments as part of our writing as well. So I'll definitely escalate the importance of the attachment reading and writing. But right now, you're correct. That is not something we do grab. But our model will be to emulate what we do for geodatabase. So thanks very much.
Is there maybe a workaround?
You know, what we'll have to do is get back to you. I suspect there is, because I think that's all available through the GeoServices API, and so therefore people like Conterra have figured out how to use that with our HTTP things, and so I think in the short term we should be able to get you a workaround that involves an HTTP caller to do this.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Hey, it's now 9 o'clock, so we're theoretically done. If folks need to leave, please go ahead. We'll take a few more questions and hang around a bit longer, but if you do need to go, we'll wrap up, and thank you so much for tuning in today. I want to especially thank Eric. Please do hang on the line, Eric, in case others want, but formally for everybody, thanks so much, Eric, for sharing with us today.
Thank you.
And Laura, great job putting together those demos. You know that they couldn't have been long to put together, because she only really had the software since yesterday at about 2 in the afternoon. So this is all very fresh, and writing stuff is all stuff that will be coming by the end of the month in our SP1. But thanks so much, Laura.
Oh, man, no problem.
So anyway, thanks everybody. If you need to go, please do. But we'll hang around. We got a question here from Mark. So let's open the lines. Stephanie, let's see what Mark has to say. Okay, Mark, I think you should be on the air. Oh, I think we got some trouble with Mark. So anyway, Iris, or the other Mark, the Safe Software Mark, do you have any other questions? Well, let's see if anybody else wants to ask anything. Iris, anything else come up interesting during the time? Oh, we forgot to turn our webcam. So is Iris muted?
Let's see. So I've got some questions here. Can you hear me?
You betcha.
Yep.
All right. So let's look through here. We had some. One question someone had is asking if we can set up a feature service to serve up other formats with FME Server. That could be consumed by other applications.
The answer is yes. FME Server can emulate, for example, the GeoRest Services API. I have it as one of my pet projects to try to create that so we could let people do that more quickly. But the idea would be to have FME Server masquerade as a feature service and then send data that might be coming from who knows what kind of strange places, combining it and sending it out. I think that's what they're getting at. The answer is yes.
Yes.
Nobody's done it yet, but it is one of my projects. I would hope I'd have that to show by the FME User Conference. That would be my personal goal.
Okay. I guess we'll have to wait and see.
Yes.
So there's another question that's kind of interesting. It says, what are your security recommendations when you're dealing with, your ArcGIS Online authentication and, you have your password and username in your workflows? Do we have any recommendations there?
Well, seriously, we do encrypt those inside of the workflows so that they aren't able to be copied and pasted out of there and used anywhere else. So it isn't, if you're talking to me a couple of years ago in FME, we did store the passwords in plain text. That is no longer the case. It's been that way for a while that it's been encrypted. So at least that's there. Longer run, and not even longer run, shorter run, we have a project going on here at SAFE to bring OAuth right into FME. So in other words, instead of having usernames and passwords floating around, you will make a connection once to ArcGIS Online in your environment. Then we'll have a token that is only for use with FME that we will then share within FME and out to FME Server. So that whole area of the security getting a lot of attention, being changed. The situation is way better than it used to be, and it's going to get way better again very shortly.
Okay, let's hopefully that answers that question. Let's see what else we have here. I believe someone is asking, do we have any plans? Are there any other transformers that we're planning on adding that use the ArcGIS Online services?
Yes. Now, Bruce Harold, the one is I think a hotspot analysis. Does that ring a bell, Laura? It's that clustering thing where there's all those little dots and then it brings them.
Okay, yeah.
Yes. So that, I think that's the only. Do you know other ones that we're missing?
Oh, I was just looking at them this morning. Now I
Yes.
can't remember. There was one other, but I
Okay.
don't remember
The
what it
answer
was.
is we will work our way through them, and as Esri adds more services, our goal will be to wrap them so that people can really quickly and easily use them within FME workflows. So in general, we're dedicated to that. Bruce Harold's been in touch with me about the hotspot stuff. That's obviously the next one that we'll go after. And also, we would welcome feedback from folks that are using the existing ones. I know the geocoding one, there's many, many parameters one can give to that thing. I think we're exposing a small number of them.
Mm-hmm.
So with time, we may do more there as well. Anything else, Iris?
Okay, one last one is someone was asking for a bit more explanation on the credits and how we're using them. You know, we've mentioned that we do use them as we do some of these things that Laura showed. So is there...
Well, so we don't control that. We're just making use of the services. So the credit burning happens at whatever the rate is that is defined by the ArcGIS Online environment. So we are just like another client software, I guess. And so we'll use as many or as little credits as each of those operations do take. We know that for our own testing, we try to use small data volumes just not to burn through lots, because you know, we tend to move lots of data. Even when we're testing stuff, often we do stuff with hundreds of thousands of things. We try not to do that here during the testing phase, just because we don't want to waste good resources. But there's nothing special about what we're doing.
Okay, and I think someone actually from Esri probably just sent us a link with more information on that, so we can maybe I'll chat that out to everyone.
Yeah, please do. That's great. Thanks so much, Esri friends. I know actually some people asked about bringing building floor plans and stuff like that into ArcGIS Online. We didn't have a demo of that today, but it absolutely would work. In the BIM webinar that Dave Campanis did a couple of weeks ago, maybe even last week, we were doing stuff by getting floor plans out of Revit models. Because there's a feature service writer that Laura was showing today, there's no reason we couldn't just pop those floor plans right into ArcGIS Online for facilities management purposes as well. So I think that's all the questions that I was aware of. Anything else we should quickly ask or answer? You can ask.
I think I've hit most of the main ones I've seen there.
Okay. All right, well, I think we really will wrap it up then. So thanks so much to the 164 of you that hung on to the bitter end. But I think we'll say goodbye here from rainy. Is it rainy out there this morning?
Yeah, it was pretty wet. Yeah.
Rainy, so we need like a rain cam here, not a snow cam. But we'll say also goodbye to Eric, who's battling tornadoes and snowstorms. So thanks so much, Eric.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
It was really great. Okay, thanks everyone, and we'll see you, I guess, in a couple of weeks when Dawn takes the airwaves from Fort St. John to talk about big data. If anybody's at the Esri Business Partner Conference, we'll have a booth there. I'll be there, so we'll look forward to chatting with some of you then as well. And otherwise, thanks so much for tuning in today, and happy FMEing.